Hey everybody, this is Scott. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my wife Melody and I run an online sales business. We sell a lot on eBay and also a little bit on Poshmark and Etsy. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how we use research to raise the value of our items. And if that seems interesting to you, stick around. Okay, so what I thought I would do today, instead of just giving you a list of research tools and the steps that we take, I thought I would show you an item that I picked up that I didn't know much about and the steps that I did to try and figure out exactly what I had and how I should list it. And and well, let's do it. So I picked this up, and this is an awesome cane. I found it at a great estate sale. It was sitting in the back of a closet in with the umbrellas, and loved everything about it. It's got a horn handle, and it had these badges running down the front of it, and you could tell immediately when you were looking at it, it had a lot of age, and so it's exactly the kind of thing I pick up, even though I've never picked up this exact kind of thing. I didn't know anything about canes. Like a lot of little boys, when I was a kid, hiking really meant more about going out and just finding a great stick to carry. I don't know that we ever covered any distance. So this was super fantastic for me to bring home. But where we start when we're going to do the research is by thinking about what exactly attracted us to an item. So like on this one, the first part was that handle. I've been a woodworker for about 30 years. I've worked a lot with wood and horn. And there are some things about this that I could tell right away. The wood is hard maple. If you can see it in person, it's pretty obvious. The horn, I wasn't familiar with it. It obviously wasn't a deer horn like I'm accustomed to. So I wasn't sure. So what we do, we start with the most obvious thing is I take a clear picture of that. And I will pop one up right here. And I take that picture and I run it through an app. I am going to mention some apps that we use that you may or may not have. They are not affiliate links, but they would be. I will not hesitate to take somebody's money to hawk their wares as long as I feel as strongly about it as I do when I'm doing it for free. And so the ones that I'm using now are the same ones that I would tell you later on that I would use. But the first one I use is Google Lens, and it's free. And if you take a clear picture of something like this, that's very, very unique. It's got some ridges there at the bottom of the horn. The shape is, this one's got a pretty steep curve to it. It made it very easy to find. Google Lens found that in just a matter of seconds. And it comes from a chamois. Like you've all heard chamois like the ShamWow, but it's an actual animal, and this is its horn, and that animal is indigenous to a lot of the mountains in Europe, and which makes sense that I have it on a cane. I don't want to break this apart right now, but this it's going to take a little bit of repair, which is within my wheelhouse, something I definitely know how to do. But it's all hand carved underneath the cap, underneath the horn. When you pull the horn out, you can see that it was hand carved, and it fits this very, very nicely. And that tells me it was probably indigenous. This wasn't carved with a machine, so it's not like there's some massive company importing a ton of these horns to make these canes. It's probably some guy somewhere made this cane. And that narrows it down. It's going to be the mountains of Europe, and the mountains make sense since this is a hiking stick. My next step is I try to look them up, and you can find a few canes that use these, but They don't look like this one, and they don't look like this one because of the badges. I did try, because that would be my next step, nice clear picture of the badges, and see if any of those come up, and they do not. But Google Lens has something else that's very helpful, is it will translate, because a lot of what is written on these badges, it's not in English. And like too many Americans, I speak one language, and I'm not sure I speak that one very well. But Google Lens speaks a bunch of languages, and so it was very helpful to narrow down where a lot of these were. A lot of this, a lot of these languages become very obvious. A lot of it's in German. Some of these are from Switzerland. My next step, though, is I still want to know more about this cane. Exactly what do I have? And I'm going to make some assumptions in my research. One, so I know what this is. I know that the wood is hard maple. And I'm going to start with the badge at the top. I'm assuming that when anybody bought this, it either came with the top badge or it's the first one that they added. And it's probably where the cane started. It's probably where it originated. And this one is the most helpful of all the badges on here. It says Altdorf on it, and it also says Wilhelm Tell, which is what the Swiss call William Tell. What's super cool about that is it helped me begin narrowing down the age of this particular cane. The picture that they have of Wilhelm Tell on here is from the monument that they have in Altdorf. And the monument wasn't made until 1895. And so that helped me at least get a jumping off place. I know that this isn't 1860 because the monument didn't exist. As I went through the rest of these, and I'm not going to go through all 9 of them, but I will tell you kind of what I did. I am assuming that they probably went in order, and it gives me a route that they took. They went into, this one's a German one, they went into Germany at some point, and some of the names of these places changed after World War II. And if the name changed after World War II, it's pretty safe for me to assume that they were there before that. So now I've got this range of 1895 to the late 1930s. And all of that is very helpful. There's a couple of one on here that I could do more research to make sure that it's not pre-World War One, but that's possible. And I just got to do a little bit more research to see, because they don't use any English on them at all. It looks like it was made for tourists, but not necessarily American tourists. So a couple of other things that I was able to tell. So I've got a rough range. I mean, I'm assuming now it's between 1895 and probably 1935. And because if one of the later ones was Germany, people weren't traveling into Germany much after that. So I know that it's maple. Also, if you've ever walked with a hiking staff of any kind, the bottoms get torn apart. This one has no remnants of a cap coming off. Some of them have a cap that slides on the end with a spike or a metal tip of some type to protect the wood, and this one didn't have that. And it also, the bottom of it's just perfect. So I think that whoever had this loved to travel, and they probably hit all the gift shops and didn't ever actually head out on the trails, but it's still a fantastic collection. It's probably why this is in the condition that it's in. It's got a just amazing patina, but it isn't beat up. The wood is in just incredible, fantastic condition. So all of that is going to go to my very detailed description. Now, so the next step, I've got a good idea of what I have now. I know approximate range of when it's from. I can put in here some of the things that I just told you, that somebody bought it, didn't carry it, or at least didn't carry it into the rocky crags at the bottom of the hiking trails. And now I need to find out what it's worth. If you can't just search for hiking staff because they don't bring up anything like this at all. Because I think mine is cooler than most, as I do my research and I start with eBay, I sort by highest. I want to see who has one like mine. Almost nothing comes up. If I add the horn, I can add horn, I can add chamois. I add chamois first, and you get very few, even on Google, you get very few that come up. eBay, I had none. A couple did come up on Google, and they brought up foreign eBay sites that I don't necessarily have access to through my eBay. Most of them were listed for $150 to $250, but they hadn't sold. Also, at most, they had a badge or two, and this one has 9. So my next step in trying to determine where am I going to land on price is I get on WorthPoint. And again, I realize a lot of you don't have WorthPoint. When Melody and I sold like modern clothes, WorthPoint would have been useless. I mean, it was way too easy to determine what kind of price range we should be in. But as we pick up a lot of very unique items, it's a helpful tool. And I would recommend it if that's what you're doing. And for us, it does. So even on WorthPoint, a staff like this, there aren't many. There were a few, and almost all of them sold in that $150 to $200 price range. I didn't see any with this kind of age and patina that had more than 2 or 3 badges, and I have 9. So now I'm getting ready to list it, and I know what kind of wood it is. I know what the horn is. I have a list of all of the different places that the badges were picked up, and I know how it was carried and how, or not carried. And so my next step is to list it. When I look on WorthPoint and I sort the results there by highest, mine is just cooler than any of them that are there. It's just better. So I will probably aim at the $300 price range. And it may take a while to sell, but I will get at least $250 for it. I'm not going to sell it for less than the ones that weren't as nice. And so let me tell you again, let me wrap up by telling you why I do this. Because I could have easily brought this home, put it up on eBay for $75 and got it. Somebody would have bought it. And why would I spend an hour researching something and listing it? Is our business model is not built around volume. We have no desire whatsoever to list 20 items a day. And there are a ton of people that do, and they're very successful at it. And it's just not what I want to do, and it's not what Melody wants to do. We want to go look for stuff. We want to find things that are just awesome and find and get them sold to other people that think they're awesome. And we have more fun doing that than we do just doing volume. The trick to that is that I need to maximize. If I'm only going to list 2 or 3 things a day, I can't list $20 items and make very much money. So my research allows me to list something that's very, very well defined, and it will sit until the right buyer comes. But the right buyer comes, I think for us, the proof is in what we do. Last week, I think the last 7 days, we're right at $3,500. And I think we're at 80,000, I think, this year in gross sales. And remember, all those numbers should be for you is encouragement, because numbers in and of themselves, they don't mean anything. I drive more miles. I do more research. You have no idea what somebody paid. Even if they said I paid a plug nickel for this, I mean, you don't know. Let the numbers be encouragement for you. But our numbers for us allow us to not have to go back to a 9-to-5 job. It allows us to give away more than you can possibly imagine. And I've never put that onto video, giving people things, because that's not what it's about. It's about getting to do what we love and sharing it with other people, and hopefully they benefit from it too. But this business model for us works, and it's a business. I mean, we treat it like a business. We're just not running a volume business. We're trying to run, it's almost like a history business, you know. And so that's it. That's pretty much the process that we go through, and it definitely takes much longer, and it is absolutely dependent on being out looking a lot. You have to, you got to look at a lot of canes before you pull one out that looks like this. But I'm sure at some point you have picked up something that was just, you bought it because it was cool, and we use all the digital resources that are available to us to further define it and give the item a story that sells it to the person who's going to keep it. On these kind of items, you rarely get a return. You rarely get a return. The people are too excited to have it. And that's it. So I will finish this video with letting you know that on my next video, assuming that the timing works right, I am going to sit down with a lady that runs a prominent estate sale business in our area, and we're going to talk about that intersection between reselling, like we do, and estate sales. She's got a great attitude about it. She does high-end estates, and she's been doing it a long, long time. And I asked on Instagram for people to give us questions for her, and some of you have done that. If you haven't, it's still there. You can go back and look back a couple of posts ago of mine and find it. And we'll find out if she's got some tips or tricks for us to get the most out of it. So that's it for me. After my closing, I will run some screenshots of these places, and I'll run them in order, and I'll put enough information on there where you can tell where they're from. Super cool find. It's what I do. It's what Melody does, and we're having a blast with it. Hope you do too. And if you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button for me. It really does help me. It tells me whether or not anybody other than my mom is watching. And hey, Mom. And encourages me to get on and do the next one. So that's it. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks.
Drove up from Texas, Memphis to New York in a day. My eyes were so tired, but I was so wired. You must have thought I was insane. I don't remember Virginia, most of Pennsylvania, but I remember the Tennessee mountain rain. I drove like a villain, I listened to Bob Dylan, and I cried, and I held my head in shame. I couldn't comfort wanted to, I wouldn't know what to say. Oh my, I hate to say goodbye. pockets were empty, my idle hands were busy. I don't know how they ended up that way. I couldn't come